You wake up to the sound of silence. It's heavy, fills the air around you like a thick fog. You sit up in the creaky wooden bed, your senses alert as you strain to detect the faintest sounds, the wind rustling through the trees, the soft crackle of leaves beneath unseen feet. But there is nothing. Just the oppressive stillness that seems to hum at the edges of your consciousness. You glance out of the small window. The moonlight spills into the room, illuminating the worn wooden floors and the peeling wallpaper, stained from years of neglect. You have come to this isolated cabin in the woods to escape, to find some peace away from the clamor of the city, to breathe air not heavy with exhaust, but fragrant with pine and soil. But even as you settle in for a night of solace, a creeping unease begins to curl like smoke around your mind. An awareness of being watched, perhaps, or a whispering echo of something just beyond your perception. As you take a moment to gather yourself, you remember the reason for this retreat. The endless grind of work, the pressures that had begun to weigh heavily on your soul. You had imagined mornings filled with gentle sunlight pouring through the trees, and evenings wrapped in the warmth of a cozy fire. Yet, here you are, feeling more like a trespasser in a forgotten relic, a fragment of disarray rather than a sanctuary. Throwing the blankets aside, your feet touch the wooden floor, sending a soft shudder through the structure. You push the door open, and a gust of cool night air greets you, mingling with the warmth of the cabin. The woods loom around you, their silhouettes dark and daunting against the night sky filled with shimmering stars. In the soft glow of the moonlight, the woodlands seem alive, pulsating with hidden life. You take a few steps outside, letting the earth crunch beneath your shoes. You breathe deeply, taking in the scents, the dampness of moss, the sharp bite of cool air mingled with the sweetness of pine needles. But amongst these familiar fragrances, you detect something else, something faintly acrid that twists your stomach, a memory of decay, like the remnants of something long dead. You shake off the feeling as just your imagination playing tricks in the dark and move further away from the cabin, where the trees part slightly, revealing a small clearing. You stand in the center, breathing the cool night air and trying to absorb the beauty of the scene. The moon hangs low, its silvery light spilling across the ground, casting shadows that stretch eerily toward you. Suddenly, a noise cuts through the tranquility, a crack like a branch snapping underfoot. You whip around, heart racing. But there's nothing to see. You wait, your grip tightening on your own arms, but the sound doesn't repeat. You shake your head at your own jumpiness and head back toward the cabin, your thoughts flitting restlessly in your mind. Back inside, you light a small lantern, the flickering flames casting timid shadows that dance along the walls. Settling into the worn armchair, you flip through an old book you found resting on the shelves, but your eyes glide over the text, thoughts too tangled in your head to focus. Refocusing on the world outside, you wonder if the enveloping silence is natural in a place like this, or if it hints at something more unsettling. You decide a cup of tea might calm your nerves. The kettle gurgles on the stove, the rhythmic sound soothing against the drumming pulse in your ears. As you wait, you can hear the wind outside picking up slightly. A whispering wind that nudges against the walls, urging you to listen closely. When you finally pour yourself the steaming liquid, you feel a moment of tranquility wash over you, warming you from the inside out. Sipping the tea mindlessly, your eyes wander to the cabin's modest bookshelf, where the same dusty volumes sit, aging in place. One book catches your attention, its spine worn, the title almost faded. You set your cup down and pull it from the shelf, brushing away the thick layer of dust as you inspect it. It has no author listed, just a strange emblem embossed on the cover, a twisted figure that seems to shift beneath the dim light, dancing at the edges of your vision. You flip through the pages, revealing crumbling paper filled with handwriting that feels foreign, almost like a language you cannot fully understand, yet somehow resonates within you. Chilling images drawn in scratchy ink line the margins. Figures in tattered clothing, their hollow eyes gazing blankly as if reaching out from the page. You start to feel a knot tighten in your stomach, an unsettling sensation, urging you to put the book down, to not delve deeper. But you can't resist the allure of the strange glyphs and images. Hours blend into one another as you pore over the contents, each line becoming a twine that weaves a chilling web around your mind. The stories inside blur the boundary between folklore and reality, detailing rituals that had been performed in the woods, sacrifices, offerings to appease something ancient and dark. A part of you dismisses it as mere myth, a concoction of fear and superstition, yet another part shivers at the idea that there is a sliver of truth hidden in the darkness. With each passing moment, the unease grows substantially, clawing its way from the back of your mind and settling in the hollow of your chest. The wood creaks ominously around you, the shadows stretch longer, forming shapes that appear to twist and undulate as you turn away from them. The night outside intensifies, the wind shrieks through the trees, and you swear you can hear whispers riding on its back, indistinct yet sharp like knives in the stillness. You jolt when the floorboards creak again, and this time you are certain you hear something rustle outside, a quiet, desperate sound, as if something lurks just beyond your reach. Your heart pounds, and you feel the urge to barricade the door, to hide from whatever lies beyond. But curiosity, that insatiable beast, pulls you toward the window instead. You glance out, but all you can see are the silhouettes of trees, their limbs bending and twisting with the wind, almost beckoning you to come closer. With a shaky breath, you try to dismiss your imagination. Surely it's just the wind playing tricks. But as the minutes drag on, that initial adrenaline morphs into something far worse, a bone-deep sense of wrongness that seeps into your bones. You reach for your tea, but it has gone cold, and the taste of it now feels acrid against your tongue, as if it has soured in the silence. Feeling trapped, you decide to step outside, hoping fresh air will rid you of the feeling that's begun to gnaw at your sanity. You pull on your jacket and step out into the chill, the breath of your own warmth visible before you like a ghost dissipating into the night. You listen, letting the silence envelop you once again, tinged with a palpable tension that seems to vibrate through the air. You wander further into the woods without thinking, your feet trailing along a path not quite worn, but discernible beneath your own apprehension. The trees form an archway overhead, their branches swaying softly as the wind carries whispers through the leaves. You feel a pull deeper into the forest, as if something were calling you forward, urging you to discover what lies within. As you walk, the surroundings grow denser, the scents sharper and more pungent. You notice the whispering of the wind has shifted. With each step, the forest feels less like a sanctuary and more like a living, breathing entity, an organism filled with dark desires and ancient secrets. You stop, and for a moment or two, uncertainty grips your heart. You know you should turn back, retrace your steps back to safety, back to the cabin, but your body betrays you. A fleeting image breathes in your mind, something dark and small, hidden just out of reach, waiting for you. You push beyond that moment of hesitation, heart hammering in your chest as you call out, half expecting a response. Your voice sounds foreign even to your ears, swallowed by the darkness. Not a soul answers, though. You feel that you are not alone. You wouldn't have been able to say exactly what it was you sensed, an energy, a presence, tangling around your legs and whispering dark promises you dared not listen to. Deeper still, you stumble across an opening, a small clearing hemmed in by the thickest of trees. In its center, a massive stone altar protrudes from the earth, covered in a thick layer of moss that sprawls out like a wild carpet. You step closer, a heavy weight resting atop your chest, pushing against you as if the very air here is thicker than the rest. The altar is ancient, time-weathered, and an odd set of symbols are carved across its surface, worn yet distinct in their unnatural intricacies. It feels wrong to be there. It feels like a heartbeat's echo rather than a resting place. As your fingers brush upon the cold stone, you envision the ancient rituals described in the book, the enormity of sacrifice, of offerings made to appease something that has no desire for your understanding or your compassion. The book hinted at power, dark and untamed, yet the stone feels lifeless under your hand, whispering the same void that has haunted you since you arrived. You look around, half expecting the shadows to take form, to coalesce into shapes of the stories on the page. But as you scan the periphery of the clearing, it remains unyielding and still, save for the gentle sway of the branches above. Nearby, the ground is sunken, a hollow of earth perhaps disturbed long ago, as if something had clawed its way back into the depths of the woods. Suddenly, something glints in the pale moonlight. You kneel, brushing away the leaf litter to uncover a weathered pendant. It spins and sparkles between your fingers. A finely crafted piece adorned with the symbol from the pages of the book. Your heartbeat quickens as realization dawns. This relic belongs to one who might have come before you, someone who sought that ancient power. The atmosphere thickens, almost vibrating with a consciousness of its own. You stand, instincts screaming to flee. As you turn to escape, the wind howls through the trees with a sudden fervor, a tempest sown from nowhere. The shadows seem to ripple around you, contorting as steps, heavy, deliberate, begin to echo through the clearing. You stand frozen, trapped between shadows and the awakening dread curling around your throat. The wind screams warnings. You turn and run, skidding on the forest floor, the leaves moaning beneath your weight. Fear propels you through the darkness, a primal instinct guiding you away from whatever presence has stirred. You burst from the woods, gasping as the cabin looms before you. You fumble with the door, nearly collapsing through it, slamming it closed against the sighing woods behind you. The shadows loom outside, pressing against the windows with suffocating tension. You glance back at the book, now lying askew on the floor, the lantern flickering violently as you rush to it, needing to understand the stories before the night fully sinks its teeth into you. You find a ravaged page you hadn't seen before, depicting a figure similar to the ones carved into the altar. Hollow-eyed, twisted beyond recognition. Beneath the illustration, a chilling passage describes what would happen to those who dared disturb the ancient woods. A guardian awakens, slumbering spirits stirred to life, claiming what is rightfully theirs. A knot twists violently in your stomach. Outside, the wind howls like a wounded beast. You scramble to shut the curtains, your heart thrumming alongside the frantic pulsing of fear inside you. Yet, the chill settles heavy on your shoulders, despite your attempts to shield yourself from the encroaching shadows. A thought flickers momentarily. Could you simply leave in the morning? Escape the unwelcome weight of history that has taken root here. But the thought is pure folly. Deep inside, you sense that something has woven its way into your very being. And just as you finish that thought, a breeze sweeps through the cabin, snuffing out the flickering lantern in one swift gust, leaving the room cloaked in darkness. Panic dances through you, but just as quickly, you feel the surroundings shift. The familiar creaks of the cabin seem to morph, reverberating with something else, an echo that feels alive, wrapping around your mind and coursing through your veins like ice. You hear it then, a low, persistent whisper creeping under the walls, a blending of voices, both distant and intimate. Join us. Join us. The fear gnaws at you, yet it begins to blend with something else. Curiosity, an unbidden desire to surrender to the unknown that pulls at your essence. You fight against it, but the whispers grow louder, more demanding, swirling about until they drown out your own thoughts, entangling you in a web of despair and relentless longing. You grasp your head in a futile attempt to silence it, stagger toward the door, desperate to escape the snare of voices. But as you reach for the knob, your breath quickens as a shadow moves just beyond the threshold. It hangs there, features indistinct, swirling as if it were the night itself, unfurling black tendrils that beckon you forward. And so, you stand at that threshold, torn between the safety of light and the allure of darkness, the primal fears of loneliness clawing at your heart as shadows continue to whisper from the depths. The choice you hold could reshape your reality. Brave the unknown, or stay sheltered in solitude forever. With a trembling hand, you push the door open. The night outside watches with eager hunger, as if the woods themselves have been waiting for this moment, this surrender. As you step forward into the unknown, the woods embrace you in their darkness, and with a single fleeting thought, your mind echoes, aware that you might never be alone again. The shadows entwine around you, and the whispers rise to a cacophony of promise, your visions seeping into their embrace, wrapping tighter and tighter until the very essence of who you are fades into that opaque darkness, a perfect union with the nature that awaits beyond. And in that moment, the night consumes you whole, leaving behind the waiting cabin, a witness to your indecision, and all that lies in the silence now unbroken.